Hello and welcome to another episode of Silver Sages Sharing Stories. Today I have the great pleasure of speaking with Bev Ryan. Bev began her career as a high school teacher, like many of us of our generation. And now in her 60s, she provides book coaching and book publishing services for people who want to self-publish their own non-fiction books. She also does some career consultancy work supporting people going through redundancy. And Bev is the author of Smart Women Publish, which was launched in 2019. So Bev, thanks for being here to chat with us today. It's lovely to see you again.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny.
What sort of a school teacher were you?
I was a high school English teacher, which kind of fits in with what I do now. So English and geography.
Yeah, okay. And did you imagine that your long-term career was going to be teaching?
I guess I did. Like as you said, many of us, our choices were kind of office work, nursing, teaching. There weren't a lot of choices. Well, or we didn't think there were. Put it that way. We didn't think there were. I ended up teaching because I got a scholarship to go to uni.
Yeah.
But the scholarship was Queensland Government Education Department scholarship. So I did the 4-year BA Dip Ed.
Yeah.
And in return, I was bonded to teach for 4 years. So.
Yeah. It was the same in New South Wales. I think that's why so many of us did become teachers.
Yes.
Was the opportunity to go to uni and everything.
Yeah.
And they lost a lot of good ones, but they kept a few, I suppose, along the way.
Yes.
So how did you make that transition from the teaching into what's been going on in the intervening years? Because I know you haven't gone straight into what you're doing now.
No, I got into my 40s and I was married. I had 4 children, and my partner at the time had a business. So we're on 5 acres. He had a cabinet making business in the backyard, 4 kids. So life was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That was fine. But and I did do a kitchen design course. I've done a lot of things in my life. So I did a kitchen design course. So I did go out and sell kitchens. I went out and saw customers and designed kitchens. I did that for a while. But I just had this real burning desire to have something of my own. And I know a lot of women can relate to that.
Yes.
My kids were still at school, but I just thought, I just want to, and I'd read magazine articles about successful women in business. And I used to wonder, what is it about them that I haven't got? Why? Because it just sounded so fascinating. So I really just got hit a bit of a career crisis, I suppose, in my late 40s. And I found a book which kind of led me into publishing and into career coaching. And it was by a lady called Barbara Sher. Now,
sadly died this week.
This week she's passed away. She's influenced so many people.
She had a big impact on me as well.
Yeah, incredible. And it was through books, and sort of going around off a bit of a tangent. That's why the books can change people's lives. That's what I love about helping people with books. But so anyway, I read one of her books, which was about, it was like, I can do anything if I only knew what it was, which really was full of these real exercises that I worked through.
Somewhere right behind me.
Yeah. I got up my shelf. She's awesome. She would, she's amazing. So out of that, I discovered that term scanner, and I don't know if you've talked about it. I'm a scanner. I just like to learn a lot of different things to a certain depth. And once I kind of mastered the practice of something, or I've learned enough to understand it, I'm like, well, okay, I want to move on to something else.
Yeah.
And I discovered that was me, and that was okay. And if I could find something to do where that side of me was satisfied, I'd be happy. So out of a lot of career angst at the time and trying to figure out what it was I could do with the skills I had that would mean that I could do all these different things that would keep me interested, I sort of came across magazine publishing. So that was in the late 90s. So I launched my own magazine, which interestingly was called Work From Home, and this is late 90s. And here we are now still talking about work from home as if it's something amazing and unusual, because we're all forced to do it. So once I started doing magazine publishing, there's the components of it. You have to find interesting stories. You meet interesting people who've got interesting stories.
Mm-hmm.
there's the English teacher in me got to kind of edit them. The design component, I always work with a designer, but there was this beautiful visual component to magazine design. So all of these things that I liked were kind of all packaged together in magazine publishing. So that's kind of how I transitioned into publishing in the late 90s.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And the times that we've run into one another, I've never told you, but I actually read Work From Home magazine because I was starting to put my toe into that water.
Yeah.
And Honestly Women was when we first met, because I was reading it every time it came out and really enjoying it. So we've been on a fairly similar journey along the way. It's just that we're publishing about it.
Yes, we have been very similar. We're to do with career coaching as well. You and I have had maybe not the same path, but I think that's the interesting thing about careers, isn't it? That there might be an industry or an activity or whatever you want to call it, but everyone's got to do it in a different way.
Yes.
And so with career coaching, and when I say what happened to me in the late 90s was that I started the magazine, but it was always part-time. I just did one every quarter. Like doing a monthly magazine with high production costs I never wanted to even go there, because it's just very stressful. I just did a quarterly magazine that I could afford to do for a very niche market, and I was happy with that. But I also, because my career frustration was so great, and I loved Barbara Sher's work so much, that I kind of also developed an interest in helping other people with careers. And nothing much happened with that until I got a job, because I have had a lot of jobs, so it's a long story, but I did that first magazine for 3 years, and then my marriage broke up, and I kind of tried to keep going with it as a single parent, but I just couldn't I couldn't do the day job and the nighttime editing, so I ended up kind of selling, or basically giving that magazine to another publishing company. But that interest in career coaching was always there, and I ended up in a role where I got the opportunity to do a career coaching course, so that's how that also became part of my life.
And the skills from career coaching are very much the skills that you need when you're helping somebody with working out what sort of a book they're going to write and how they're going to tell their story and everything else. I can completely see the parallels there, and the way that really everything was building you to this point that you're at now. So tell us a bit about the business that you now have.
Okay, so now I've kind of refined this publishing over the years. That you mentioned Honestly Woman magazine. I did that 2007, 2009. That was a colour magazine for mature age women, without actually using that term, but it was obviously focused on women who got to the point in their life where they still kind of had a song within them that needed singing. And I think we all know when we still got that, it's like, yes, but I haven't done my thing yet.
Yeah.
So the magazine was kind of aimed at women who wanted to read stories about women doing that. So got to the GFC late 2008, early 2009, and advertising money, I just wasn't prepared to try and sell advertising in a market where people were struggling.
Yeah.
So I reluctantly kind of said, well, I'm going to have to stop doing this magazine, because I had no more funds to put into it myself.
Yes.
And but I think I got a job around that. So I got a couple of different roles around that time, but I just wanted to keep a relationship with the readers of the magazine and the women that used to come to the lunches I used to put on. And I became aware that self-publishing of books was becoming more and more available and doable. And I realized, well, hang on a minute, I've taught myself how to self-publish magazines. I could probably help teach other women how to self-publish books. So that's kind of how I transitioned from magazines across to books. And out of that, I've got to the point today where it's called book coaching. You help people who are thinking about publishing a book, but they've got no idea where to start.
Yeah.
So I help them with the planning and getting their thoughts together. I always work with non-fiction books, not fiction. It's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah.
So as a book coach, I'll run programs or work with people individually to help them plan their books. And then I've also now got a team for the production end, because when I did the magazines, that's what I did. I project managed the production of the magazines. So now I project manage the production of books as well. So
Fascinating. You'd
yeah,
meet so many interesting people.
yes. Because every author's, well, most of the people I work with in the production side of their books are business women in business mostly.
Mm.
Whether or not they work, on solo, whether they've got their own business and work solo, or whether they're part of or they've got a bigger organisation. But the business owners, pretty much all of them, business owners, and self-directed, self-determining, self-funded, self-published. So they really, they're very inspiring people, and they've all, this, like you said before, they're publishing a book because the book's part of their business, but as a, like in my work with them, particularly at the start of a book, it's about making sure that the book is going to profile them in a way that's going to grow their business and grow them professionally. So there's underlying similarity between career coaching. There's very strong.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Have you worked with anyone doing their memoirs or telling a particular part of their life?
Yeah, I helped publish, or I did the production of a book early last year, for this amazing young business owner in Melbourne. I didn't help her write the book. She had someone help her write it, because English is not her first language, but she's very fluent in English. But her story is about how she fled from Eritrea, and as a single girl, aged 14 or 15, she left her family home in Eritrea, and she literally had to pay somebody to take her overland at night, because if the government had caught her, she would have been in deep doo-doo. So she got herself to Sudan, to Khartoum, and then she was there a little while, and then she ended up getting herself across Africa up to the Mediterranean Ocean. She's a refugee, basically. She ended up on a rubber boat with other refugees on the Mediterranean. They didn't have any compass. They just ended up floating in a ship saved. So amazing story. So her life was incredible, and she's now living in Melbourne with a partner and family, and she's got a very good business down there, and does lots of public speaking. So her book has enabled her to do more public speaking.
Yeah.
And she's only, she'd be in her 30s, maybe. I don't think she'd be 40. Very inspiring, and she's a gutsy girl, So that was an amazing book. Yeah.
I imagine that there's a lot of people of our age group who are reflecting back on their lives now and realizing that they've got a story to tell. That is, non-fiction, that might be just a part of their life, but that has profound wisdom in it and learnings for other people.
Definitely. I haven't sort of done this. I haven't kind of targeted anyone in terms of marketing to do something like this. But as a book coach, I'm definitely well equipped to work with a small group of women and help them get their memoir started. And it's really critical that they kind of pin down a part of their life that they want to highlight. And underlying everything is, why do they want to write the book? If they want to write the book for their family, it might be quite a long historical record of many parts of their family. But if they want to write it because there's a theme or a part of their life that's really would benefit others, then it's really important that gets planned out well and gets started.
It's a bit like being a midwife, a book midwife.
There is someone in the UK who calls herself a book midwife. And
really? Okay.
I did a book coaching course. She trained me in some book coaching, basic fundamental book coaching. It's quite a long time ago now, but that's her business.
So what inspires you to do this? What makes your heart sing about it?
I think it's going back to that scanner thing. I think it's the fact that I'm working on projects. Like each book that I work on, I come into it not knowing the author. Usually I don't know them, not knowing their story, taking something that is sort of usually it's, if I'm doing the production, it's a manuscript that's almost finished. And so there's sort of all of those things I said before. There's the refining of their story and the words, the word component. There's the visual, which is the book design. I really love working with a book designer on the covers and the page layout. And it's just seeing the authors amazed by what they've achieved. You know, it's one thing to sit at your computer and write 40,000, 50,000 words. That's hard work. You know, that's hard work. And anyone that can see it through to that point, you know, it's just that in itself is really satisfying to get the book finished. But then to see it come to life and to work with people and really make the book something they never imagined they could actually do themselves is, yeah, it's so rewarding. And then to kind of set all the systems up for them and say, well, now you're a self-publisher, it's your book, you own it. Here's the book in Amazon, and here's where you log in, and you know you've got total control of this thing. It's all yours. So suddenly they're an author and a publisher as well. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Bev, I was looking on your website today, and I loved the page where the person, you've published your book now, and the person's dancing in the corridor. I thought that it just summed it up really about how you would feel when your book was actually published.
Yes,
so, as a woman who has lived some years, I hate the older word or any of those sorts of words.
I love your silver sage. That's what
yes, okay. As a silver sage, have you encountered any ageism in your business, or the fact that you are still working? Anything along those lines? I mean, we both know how hard it is for older people getting new jobs. So let's forget that side of it. But just have you encountered it in being in business?
I haven't. No, I haven't. I only encounter it here in my own head.
Okay.
I don't know if you can relate to this, but
what does that little bit in your head tell you?
Oh, well, just a good example of something concrete. I did a lot. It's a 40-week business program called the Key Person of Influence. Now, I did that back in 2014, 2015. Yes, runs regularly. It's full. The groups are mostly full of pretty amazing younger business people.
Yes, and I did amazing.
I did feel kind of old. Oh, I don't know if I was the oldest in the room, but maybe not. But I was pretty close to it. But nobody else treated me like that. You know, it's all about attitude. You know, if you turn up in the room of 40 or 50 business people doing a program together, if you turn up with the right attitude, no one even notices how old you are.
No.
If you turn up and start being all old and judgmental and cranky, which I know I have done in the past from time to time, and I think, I really truly believe that. And you know, I love that movie, The Intern. It was on the other day. You know, Robert De Niro as an intern.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, how wonderful is that? Because it just shows what value an older person can bring. And the reason everyone in the workplace loved him is because he just came in and he wasn't judgmental. He was very respectful, and everyone loved him. So it's very much about attitude. Yeah.
Do you think perhaps as somebody assisting people to share what's in them, what their thoughts are, and to take them on that journey, do you think perhaps your age and your experience is an advantage rather than a disadvantage?
Yeah, I think that other people see it that way. I have realised that. You know, occasionally someone will say, "Oh, well, you know, you're so experienced, so you know, I really trust you because you're experienced." But then I still do the imposter thing and like, "Oh, hang on a minute," because I haven't done publishing all of my life. You know, I've done it parts of my life. So you know, we can all be our own worst enemy. What goes on in our own heads? But, yeah,
I think the person in business who doesn't admit to occasionally having imposter syndrome is telling lies.
Yeah.
And that's from the most successful people. You know, it's just part of us, I think. What would you say was your biggest struggle being in business for yourself?
I think it's probably to do with money. And I think back when I was in my 20s as a teacher, as a single woman. I mean, it wasn't a lot of money, but it was it was well paid for the time. For some reason, I didn't sort of click into this financially independent woman. I can start now in my 20s so that I'm always financially independent. I was very much a product of that era of seeing yourself as a part of a partnership or a marriage and whatever. And it didn't work out for me when I tried it. It didn't work out. I mean, I've got a lovely partner now, but we're not married. So I think if you're going to go in a business for yourself, you've got to get the money right in terms of putting some aside into superannuation and to, always keep your tax covered. You've got to get the money part right and value yourself to the point where you are charging enough to cover those costs as well as living costs. So you're always looking after yourself financially, rather than provide a service at an hourly rate that can't possibly cover all the other extras. I get a bit worried about sometimes that business ownership or self-employment or whatever, or solopreneurship is being overrated and oversold as the dream situation. Because it's a struggle. It's great. It's good to do it, but it may not be the dream situation financially.
The just following on from what you said, I think that struggle of the financial side of it is particularly hard for the sort of person who often goes into their own business, because there's usually this creative itch that you're trying to scratch. And once you are in there doing that, you suddenly realize there's all these other things that you have to do. I thought I was fairly organized when I was working in education, managing a fairly large school resource centre and all that sort of thing. And it took me about 2 weeks of working at home to realise that my right arm and my left arm were my two assistants who I'd left behind at work.
Right.
I could do the creative side, but they were the ones who'd really kept all the balls rolling. And I think that's a lesson that a lot of people learn the hard way, when you just think, well, look, I'm doing this well. Now I'll work for myself and, I'll just manage all the rest of it. So I think that's a very real struggle. What about what you're most proud of?
Oh, in terms of work, it's got to be the books that, well, the book is an item. A book's, it's tangible, but still it's an inert object. So I guess the pride is what a book can do for the person that's created it and for the readers, and that's a really important part of writing the books. The kind of books that I work with is the books have a purpose, and the author has a message, and the author's usually very clear on the niche that they want to impact with their books. So when the book's kind of working both ways, it's helping the author and it's helping the reader.
Yes.
That's pretty amazing. And if I'm the person that's helped bring it to life, I'm pretty proud of that. Yeah,
that's where the midwife bit comes in. Yes, you do bring it to life. That's fantastic. So in your everyday business now, are you working with interesting authors? Are you doing some career coaching?
I am actually. I've gotten myself to a point, and I'm sort of on and off over the last few years. I guess it's portfolio career. I'm not sure if that's still a term used in career coaching, but
one I use.
Yeah, I like that. I think it was a multi-potential, like whatever. That's a bit too complicated for me. But I'm a bit like that. So I do part-time career coaching, which is up and down. So the kind of career coaching I do is outplacement, which is helping people who've been made redundant. So I contract to an organisation in the city. They just call me if they've got someone they want me to look after. Now with Zoom, it's wonderful. I just do it from home with Zoom. Just in the last couple of weeks, it's gotten busy again. So that's lovely. You just do your hours, you put in an invoice every 2 weeks and you get paid. It's but the work's really important. That's what's so satisfying about it. And just for someone to say, look, I've got an interview tomorrow, I sent my resume and I've got an interview tomorrow. It's very cool. So that's my part-time thing. And so with books, I've just finished a book with a lovely young woman, young as in, I'm not sure, around 40 maybe, financial planner she's just left her career with one of the big banks in Australia and setting herself up as a sort of a solo, as a business owner in her own business. And she's using her book to really just tell the world who she is and what she does, because working within a large organisation like that, you're part of a big thing, but nobody knows who you are unless it's your private clients.
Yeah.
So now she's got to establish her credibility, and it's a large industry. So she's put a lot of time and a lot of her own finances into publishing a wonderful book and about financial planning. It's called Your Best Life. So it's beautiful, and she was a delight to work with. So
Marvelous.
yeah.
When I put this video together with the little article about it on the blog, I'll certainly be putting a link to your website, because looking through there, I sort of popped on to have a quick look and ended up reading about every one of the authors, and I'm wanting to read at least half of the books. So I'm sure that a lot of the people who look at this recording will feel the same way and find it very, very interesting. Particularly that book I thought sounded fantastic.
Yeah, so I've got two websites. So the smartwomenpublish.com,
Yes.
that she's on that website.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. So is there anything about particularly your publishing career that you would like to share that I haven't asked you about?
Well, I think I'm a perpetual learner. I'm pretty sure you are as well.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why I'm still working, because the alternative of kind of not, I'd rather be doing this than I'd actually rather be doing this than traveling. I've traveled a lot when I was young, and I'm not probably partly financially restricted because I haven't got the money to go on a round the world trip for a year or 6 months or something. I'm sure if I had the funding, I might do it. But where am I going with that? Okay, so at the moment I'm studying another course. I'm doing a course. It's actually a book coaching course, but it's very in depth, and I'm just really excited because it's given me a lot more coaching confidence, coaching tools, where I can really do some great work with people. And the idea we talked about before, helping people write memoirs, that's something I probably will put together as a program where I work with a small group and help them get a memoir started, because it's so important to make all those decisions about, like, what's the point of the memoir, who's going to read it, who's going to be in it, how much of this story am I going to share. So I think that the one thing that I probably wanted to add to anything is the fact that I'm still learning, and I'm still going to be here, and I'm still going to be helping people. I don't have any plans to stop doing what I'm doing. I think it's wonderful that we can do, the work you do, work I do.
We're very lucky to live in this era, I think.
It
must have
definitely
been very hard to be a scanner and a lifelong learner and a bit of a butterfly 30 or 40 years ago. I mean, that's perfectly acceptable now to be doing this sort of thing, but I know I wouldn't have particularly enjoyed the traditional retirement life of say 50 years ago, or 25 years ago even. Bev, it's been an absolute delight to speak with you today, and I thank you for being part of this.
It's wonderful to be here, Jenny.
Wonderful, and I look forward to having a look at some of the books that you have helped to bring into this world.
Definitely.
Okay. I'll just stop the recording now.